Sir, what's it going to be? Your wife or the baby?
When Alan rushed his wife to the hospital in the morning, he had no idea he would have to make a life-changing decision.
The operation will save the baby, but your wife will probably not make it.
If the doctor had asked Alan some months ago, he would have saved his wife in a heartbeat. But the situation was completely different now. A month before his wife went into labor, there was a knock on the door.
Hello?
The man didn't need to introduce himself to Alan because he knew him from the pictures his mother always showed him. It was his father. He let his father in and he began to state the purpose of his visit.
I want to hand my business over to you.
Alan was very confused on why his father suddenly wanted to be associated with him. He abandoned his late mother when she was pregnant and moved abroad to study.
Why me? I heard you have a son. Does it matter? I chose you.
Alan could have yelled at him, but he was enticed by his father's offer. All his life, himself and his mom had only known poverty and hardship until she passed away. And although his father was very successful, he never bothered to help. Also, it was the same situation for himself and his wife. They were poor. Well, what did you tell him? Did he apologize for being an absent father?
Does it matter? We're going to be rich.
What Alan didn't tell his wife was that his father gave him a condition.
You have to marry my friend's daughter. But I'm married. That's the only condition.
His father dropped his contact details and left him to think about his offer, but Alan already knew what he wanted.
I can give my wife a huge settlement.
So when the doctor asked about his decision again, he said slowly,
The baby. I choose the baby.
The doctor was shocked at the man's decision, but he had no choice but to respect it.
Are you sure? Yes, that is what she would want.
He knew his wife would have wanted to live, but he also wanted to get rid of her easily. 40 minutes later, the doctor came back with terrible news.
I'm sorry. Your wife didn't make it.
Alan was shocked. He knew his wife could die, but he wasn't prepared for the news. The man took his baby girl home and called his father immediately.
My wife passed away during labor. I'm sorry to hear that.
His father asked him to visit the company the next day.
I'll be there by noon.
The next day, his father showed him around the company.
Next week, I'll introduce you to the board.
The man was very excited. He couldn't believe he was going to be a billionaire soon. But the following week, when he went back to the company, security wouldn't let him in.
I'm going to have you fired. I'm the company's director.
Eventually, he got kicked out of the company's premises. He called his father several times, but he didn't pick his calls. However, he called him back in the evening.
I'm sorry, I should have told you earlier. My son came back. He will be in charge of the company.
Apparently, his father had a huge quarrel with his legitimate son.
Was I just a bait to get him back?
His father didn't answer. Rather, he cut the call and never spoke to him again. Weeks passed and he didn't hear a word from his dad. And slowly, Alan began to realize how foolish and wicked he had been.
I can't believe I let my wife die.
He became really depressed and began to neglect his baby. And eventually, the baby developed sepsis and was taken to the hospital. The doctor realized how malnourished the baby looked and called the police.
You have to follow us to the station for questioning.
After a thorough investigation, Alan was arrested. He was charged for neglect and given a prison sentence. His baby girl was kept in an orphanage to be cared for, and soon she was adopted by a kind, lovely couple. Hebrews 13, verse 5. Don't love money. Be satisfied with what you have, for God has said, I will never fail you. I will never abandon you.